Hello and welcome to Twitter's 2020 IAB Upfronts. 2020, yay! You're at home navigating 2020 as best you can, and you're doing a brilliant job, by the way. So we are here on your screen in tiny human form. So as ever, we're going to try and make this useful, interesting and fun. And as ever, we have a hashtag, quite literally in my case, and the hashtag is Twitter Connect, if you'd like to join in. With so much happening in the world, people are coming to Twitter in record numbers to see, share and talk about what's happening. Indeed, our Q2 daily active user numbers were up 34% year on year to 186 million. We've also seen a huge increase in video over the last 12 months. We've seen a 95% increase in the amount of videos viewed on Twitter and an 84% increase in the amount of time people spend watching video. Another thing we know is that tweets with video on average receive around 10 times the engagement as other tweets. We're continuing to make it as easy as possible for people to find all the great tweets that are on Twitter. This year we've introduced topics. It's a really simple concept. Instead of needing to follow lots of people tweeting about a topic, you just follow the topic itself, and we put tweets about that topic into your home timeline and into your Explore tab, and there are thousands of topics to choose from. Today's session is all about showcasing the fantastic content we've got coming up on Twitter in 2021. Amongst other things, you'll hear exclusive previews of fantastic new content coming to Twitter from our partners at Grazia and BuzzFeed, as well as a preview of an incredibly exciting year for sport in 2021. But before all of that, how can brands get involved with all of this great content? The answer is Twitter Amplify, and here is Lucy to explain more.
Hello. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about three things: what Twitter Amplify is, why it works, and how we've recently changed it to make it even better. So let's start with what it is. Twitter Amplify connects brands to people via premium publisher content where the conversation is happening. This isn't just a win-win, it's a win-win-win. People on Twitter get to see great content in their feeds around things that they're already interested in, from the biggest moments to everyday passions. Publishers use Twitter to distribute their content, and with Amplify they get to extend the reach of their content to new audiences. And advertisers can associate themselves with the best content from premium brand-safe publishers. But why is it so effective? Well, for one thing, people don't come to Twitter to passively scan over things. They come to connect with their passions and interests. They come to discover, and they come to connect to what's happening. For another, the quality of the content is so high. Very simply, Twitter is home to the best sports highlights, live programs and must-see clips out there. It's a major part of how people connect to what's happening on their daily basis. And importantly, this content is trusted. According to a recent study with Magna and IPG, premium publisher content is consistently rated positively, and trustworthiness being a key attribute. And this in turn will positively impact how brands are perceived. We see a 5% lift in brand favorability for ads that appear next to premium content. And we also know that Amplify campaigns regularly increase campaign awareness and message association. And so finally from me, how is Amplify changing, and what have we been doing to improve it? Well, let me share a few recent updates which you might not know about. In the past few months, we've actually redesigned the pre-roll display unit with the goal of making the user experience more intuitive and of course driving better business results for brands and publishers. We're currently live with Android and we're rolling out these changes to iOS very soon. We've also launched a variety of new co-branded templates to bring more creativity, brand integration and stand out to sponsorship opportunities. These are produced by our in-house art house team. We're also testing curator categories, which these let advertisers run pre-roll ads against a select range of content from premium partners. So for example, you can choose to connect to the football conversation across a selection of handpicked publishers. The good thing about curator categories is that you still get really relevant content, but across a range of different partners, rather than being restricted to just one. I can honestly say that Amplify is better than it's ever been. We're really grateful for all the feedback that's helped to influence these changes and has allowed us to make Amplify as flexible as it's ever been so that you can align your brands with the best content on Twitter. And speaking of great content on Twitter, I'm now going to hand you over to Julia, who's going to talk through the exciting entertainment partnerships coming soon.
Whilst we were all standing on our doorsteps, banging our saucepans on a Thursday night in appreciation of the NHS, Grazia took things one step further. Using their platform as one of the most inspirational magazines in the UK, they dedicated their front cover shoot to NHS key workers on the front line in their uniforms. It went down amazingly, and other creative odes to the NHS followed, but Grazia were crucially there first. And that's exactly how they've attacked their content in the last 6 months. Adapting quickly, championing the heroes that matter, and most importantly, giving readers what they really want in this unprecedented time. Out of this amazing ethos blossomed a Twitter and Grazia relationship and partnership around a show called It's the Week To, and here's Bauer's creative editorial director, Lucy Cave, to tell us more. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice to actually get out in person, socially distanced.
Of course. Don't get too close.
No.
So we've talked a bit about how Grazia has really moved the needle in terms of content creation over the last 6 months. What exactly has that pivot seen?
If you think about it, for a magazine like Grazia, coronavirus should have been a complete disaster because we were reliant on a paparazzi celebrity image to hold the cover. So how were we going to get that in the pandemic? But actually, Hattie, the editor of Grazia, and the team completely pivoted all of that content to really relate to what was going on in the readers' lives. So that's where the NHS covers were born. It was in the first week of lockdown, everyone working from their homes with toddlers crawling all over their laptops most of the time, and Hattie challenged the team to go out and shoot 4 medics for the cover, socially distancing car parks. They'd never done anything like that before. And also a mechanism was created to give copies free to the NHS workers, which was incredible. And then there's obviously the other challenges, such as we're a fashion magazine, you know, we need to appeal to fashion advertisers. How were we going to shoot fashion when you couldn't actually shoot fashion? So we created through social, we recruited 20 readers of Grazia in a WhatsApp group, and they have basically really helped shape the content because they've been talking to us about everything from their fears to fashion consumption, everything that's going on in their lives, and that's really helped the team decide on different themes for different issues.
So what kind of content are they asking for, those readers?
So out of the WhatsApp groups, we've created themed issues that are really relevant to what's going on in those readers' lives. So there's been issues around interiors and how you're kind of, you know, everyone's cocooning, everyone's staying at home a lot more. There's been issues around comfort, cooking, you know, beauty in the age of Zoom. And then there's the biannual Luxe fashion issue, which Hattie then decided to ask some designers like Erdem and Richard Quinn to use the theme of nature to create a whole kind of series of different covers, because everyone was reconnecting with nature, blossom was everywhere, and so they had the cover line, you can't cancel the spring, and we had some beautiful covers came of that, and it just really tapped into the fact that what the readers wanted at the time was hope more than anything.
And you've brought in some new voices, haven't you, into the editorial team at the same time?
Yeah, I think there's so many different topics in society at the minute that actually Grazia has been kind of at the forefront of for a long time. So it's part of Grazia's DNA to talk about the issues that matter to that audience. So whether that's mental health, whether that's kind of, you know, gender divides and pay gap, whether that's diversity and inclusion. So it's kind of a natural evolution that we bring on new voices to talk about the things that matter to the readers. Our fashion director, Kenya Hunt, you know, is a great voice around sort of fashion diversity, and we've brought on some new contributing editors like Ashley Dottie Charles recently and Candice Braithwaite, and both of them have really kind of responded really well to the readers.
And sort of how has that brought us to the place where we've got this amazing partnership on Twitter? What was the kind of brainchild of that?
So we had loads of emails from readers just responding to the kind of content that we were producing, and one of them that really sticks in my mind is she said, you know, Grazia is just that brilliant mix of telling me, informing me of everything I need to know, while also being a bit fun and taking my mind off things and helping me look to the future. So that's where we kind of came up with the idea for It's the Week To, which is, you know, it's a 20-minute lifestyle show on Twitter. It's a mindful mix of, you know, thought-provoking, inspiring, entertaining stories and advice brought to you by 2 of our editorial team having a chat in their living rooms about the biggest things that are going on that week.
So it's kind of like your mates having a chat, sort of really hearing what what you're feeling and going through.
Yeah, and I think that's why Grazia and Twitter work really well, because Grazia has the ability to segue between that light and shade. So, and that's what you see on Twitter all the time. So in one moment you might have, last week's issue talked about whether kind of COVID anxiety has become a feminist issue, also a big kind of report on the menopause, because October is menopause month. So there's kind of sort of deeper, more meaningful pieces and content alongside some more light-hearted stuff like Emily in Paris being the new show that everyone's binging on Netflix, and us having access to Darren Star, who was the man behind Sex and the City. We all still miss Sex and the City.
That, yeah. Yeah, and Jess and Tania, the host, they've got a real kind of rapport, haven't they, that makes you kind of laugh a lot, which is very Twittery.
Yeah, I think Jess and Tania have got, a really good relationship. There's a real kind of witty rapport between them. They take the mickey out of each other, but they kind of respect where each other's coming from, and I think that really plays into the sort of conversations that you have on Twitter as well.
So it feels like It's the Week 2 is a really authentic extension of Twitter with a Grazia voice, but how can brands get involved?
The beauty of any sort of brand integration with the show is that it's going to be really authentic and it's easy to talk about. So we can talk about a product within the moments of It's the Week too. So it could be It's the Week to be obsessed with a certain beauty trend. It's the week to have pumpkin spice lattes. It's the week to, decorate your room for Zoom. So there's so many different sort of content strands that we can include in this that feel really natural. And, ultimately our readers and the audience would expect this sort of integrity from Grazia. So it's about aligning the right brand with our values.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That was amazing. So there we have it, hot off the press, Grazia's brand new lifestyle show, exclusively live on Twitter each week. It's the Week 2. Whether it's the It winter coat that you're dying to get your hands on, or the binge watch of Emily in Paris that you are desperate to chat about, or a more meditative story, Grazia's got you covered live on Twitter.
Hi, I'm Heather and I work with Julia here on the Content Partnerships team at Twitter. As you've just seen, we work with some amazing partners. And with 2020 being the year that it is, our partners have been constantly adapting their content to make sure that it's always reading the room. But each and every one of these examples has something in common. It's all really premium content and it matters right now. I'm lucky enough to be the partner manager who works with the wonderful BuzzFeed here at Twitter, and this year is no different. We launched a lockdown version of What to Watch, which is their TV review show on Twitter. What to Watch was a real success over the summer, helping people to navigate what to watch on TV and what box sets to revisit while they're stuck inside their houses. It averaged 3.8 million views every single week for the 3-week period in which it ran. It attracted numerous brands, and it's still available to align with now, perhaps over Christmas TV or autumn binge watches. But our collaboration isn't going to stop there. Today, I'm here to announce the launch of a brand new Twitter and BuzzFeed UK show. It's called Tweet Eats. And Tweet Eats incorporates the best of Foodie Twitter and the best of Proper Tasty, which is BuzzFeed's popular food brand. This year, we've had a record number of brands running Proper Tasty sponsorships on Twitter. And with Christmas coming up and more people than ever are cooking at home, we felt it was the perfect time to launch something new. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Chloe Morgan, who is the presenter and the chef for Proper Tasty, to give you a little bit more of a flavour for the show.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I've been a Proper Tasty chef for 4 years now. So as you can imagine, that means I've created hundreds of recipes. And once those recipes get uploaded, I love nothing more than coming in and checking out those all important comments. Sometimes the audience love things, sometimes they absolutely hate them, and boy, do they let us know. But as BuzzFeed, we test and learn, and it's so important. And I always find, like, looking through the comments, it almost feels like the audience is becoming the chef and they start to become the hands, because we really do listen to them and always try and give them what they want. And this is where Tweet Eats comes into it. a show where Twitter tells us what to cook. You vote and we cook. In this exciting new show from BuzzFeed, two chefs face off in the tasty kitchen to cook a dish with ingredients chosen by the Twitter audience. Which chef will make it better? Well, you're just gonna have to tune in and find out. Now, we won't just be cooking a crazy challenge recipe chosen by our lovely Twitter audience. We'll also be providing some everyday recipes with our Dispiration section of the show for viewers, so they can make those scrumptious, tasty recipes that they see every day at home. Because at Tasty, we actually love cooking the recipes we make and put out for our audience. And of course, the best part, we love eating them. This isn't just a stump food challenge, it's something delicious that everyone can get in the kitchen and make at home. And now more than ever, people are looking for food inspiration and ways of getting in the kitchen. So tune into Tweet Eats, coming soon on Twitter.
As many sports fans know, the sport conversation lives on Twitter. We like to say that Twitter is the roar of the stadium echoed onto your screens. And never has that been more true than right now. We know that 2020 will be a historic year that's had a unique impact on the sport industry, but we're looking ahead to everything that 2021 has to offer sports fans. We'll have all the major sporting events that were due to take place next year anyway, like the Lions Tour or the Rugby League World Cup. We'll also see the return of normally annual events like Wimbledon and the Open. But of course, it's those quadrennial events that we are much anticipating as they've been pushed back a year, like the Ryder Cup, the Euros, and of course, the Olympic and Paralympic Games. Twitter is proud to partner with so many of the world's leading sport organizations, broadcasters, and rights holders to help ensure fans are getting the best of this sport content on the timeline. Lucky for fans of international football, the UEFA Nations League and Champions League has helped keep them satisfied as we look ahead to the Euros in the upcoming 2021. Twitter has partnerships with ITV, the FA, and a newly signed global partnership with UEFA to help ensure fans are able to connect with content from the Euros locally and globally. Back at the end of March, we polled users on which sporting events they were most missing this year, and it's no surprise that the Olympics were at the top of the list. It's a truly special quadrennial event where thousands of athletes compete for their countries on the world stage, and millions of fans tune in to cheer them on from home. And they also participate in the global conversation about the Olympics on Twitter. Last year, Twitter announced our partnership with Eurosport to bring Olympic content to 17 nations across Europe. We're pleased to say that this deal continues into 2021 to help ensure that fans and brands are able to connect with the best from Tokyo 2020. Our premium Amplify sponsorship packages with Eurosport include localized content from regional handles in local languages across these 17 markets in Europe. Fans will delight in the telling of these athletes' stories in the build-up to the games, premium content and highlights from the field of play, and of course, some live streaming of the opening and closing ceremonies in certain markets. Twitter and Eurosport are helping brands connect with one of the most notable sporting events and reach Olympic fans from across the continent with these Amplify sponsorship packages. With sport's triumphant return, fans are turning to Twitter more than ever and leaning on brands to help make connections. More than 3/4 of people on Twitter agree that brands should be helping to bring sports fans together, especially while they're unable to watch in stadiums or with groups of friends. For brands, this is an opportunity to connect with events that matter and build relevance with sports fans. The epic return of sports is a massive cultural moment, and this is the opportunity for brands to get involved in that conversation where fans are, in the roaring, explosive stands of Twitter.
And that is it for today. Thank you very much for joining us and thank you for making it this far through. We hope you found the session useful and interesting and enjoyable. Thank you as well for all of your support so far in 2020. It's been a ridiculous and very difficult year for so many of us. We really do appreciate your support and we don't take it for granted, I promise. For more of this kind of thing, please follow us on Twitter at Twitter Marketing UK and join in the conversation on the hashtag TwitterConnect.